TOK essay title number 2, Deuces, May 2025. This is a weird one. It's also a pretty easy one. I've got so many examples for you. Let's get an A.
Get an A in TOK.
Like all of my other videos, you need to pause like right now and go ahead and download my notes, okay? There's a link in the description. The document I'm using here, which is full of links, is downloadable for free, nothing required. Just click the link, download it, steal all of my ideas, it's fine. And yeah, so go ahead, do that. Have you done it yet? Have you done it yet? Okay, you've done it yet. Yeah, you've done it, I can tell. Okay, so in here, you are going to see all of my guides, all of my notes. You can stop watching the video now if you really don't want to, but you know you want to. You want to hear my jokes. Okay, really important, just a couple of housekeeping things. First of all, if you want to send me your essay and let me help you out, we can Zoom, we can chat. You can get a hold of me on Fiverr here. The link is here, fiverr.com/PatFreakinJones. That's me. You can get all of the guides on my website. You should already know where my YouTube channel is because you're watching a video on my YouTube. And then finally, get an A in TOK.com. I've compiled all of the information there. If you haven't yet, check out how to choose a TOK essay title. I only did this because so many people are connecting to me on Fiverr and saying, hey, how do I get started? So yes, I have a million tabs open. So that's a video that I made just because of the demand of people in May 2025. I've never done a video like that, okay? So those are all of my links. Please get a hold of me. I really want to help you out to know your teacher sucks. That's why you're here. Okay, title number 2. If you've seen my how to choose a title video, I called this one the good one. This is one that everybody can do, and it's pretty simple. Is our most revered knowledge more fragile than we assume it to be? Discussed with reference to the arts, interesting, and one other area of knowledge. Also, if you haven't watched my how to choose a title yet, this is one of my favorite too. I love this one, and I love number 6. If I was a student, and thank God I'm not, I would probably choose number 6. But if I wasn't going to, I would choose number 2. So you want to choose this title if you want to research nearly anything. You can do so many different things for this because revered knowledge, that's such a subjective term. You can choose nearly anything. You want to have rooms for some interpretation. So there's many different angles that we can go for our critical thinking. And then finally, and this is the direction that I really want to push you to here, you want to poke holes in things. So what I talk about in my breakdown where I'm giving you the organization, this video is just examples. And the organization, I say, choose revered knowledge from the past that was proven wrong, and then compare it to revered knowledge that we have now that we don't think is wrong. So things really simple, like we're never gonna use this because we don't do this, but the earth is round. Okay, that is revered knowledge. We all believe it. We can prove it empirically. We can improve it with spaceships going out. There's millions of ways to prove that the earth is round. So how fragile is that? Are we assuming that it's fragile or not? So we're going to poke holes in stuff that we believe now, but also look at how knowledge in the past may have been more fragile than we assumed it to be. So you have to choose the arts. And this is really interesting because I'm not sure, when we think about knowledge in the arts, we may not be thinking about revered knowledge. And I think that's why they told us to choose this one. So it's really important when we're talking about the arts in TOK to not talk about artworks. A piece of art, like this art behind me, super cool. A piece of art is not knowledge. It may be conveying knowledge, but you can't just talk about the Mona Lisa and say the Mona Lisa is knowledge. No, a lot of people do that and they score poorly. So what I've done here is talked about some things that people believe, some things that everybody believes, and how those things may be knowledge, okay? So remember, in this document that you've already downloaded, I've got links to all of the things I talk about here. This is not cheating to use these. I'm not telling you what to write. I'm not telling you what to think. I'm getting you started just like I get my students started, okay? Here we go. So first of all, one of the things that I think we think about when we're talking about revered knowledge is the great artworks. And art critics, people for hundreds and hundreds of years have said, for example, and don't choose this, but I'm getting you rolling, that Mona Lisa is a great painting. Is that knowledge? Because it's not just opinion if everybody agrees with it. Is that opinion, is that knowledge a fragile belief? And then related to that, I'm thinking about cinema, not movies, cinema as an art form. Some movies are considered to be just okay. And then maybe 100 years later, they're considered to be great works of art. So how does the knowledge of an artwork that it is bad turn out to be good later on. The connection here is what we would call the test for time. Now in TOK, you should have learned this, there are many tests for truth. One test for truth that really connects with art is the test of time. If we are going to say this artwork is great, that can change a lot. So one way to measure the greatness of something is to see if it is believed to be great for a long amount of time. And you can do that with beliefs too. If something is held to be true, how long is it held to be true? So I would connect both of these ideas of art lasting for a long time, to compare that to the test of time. Okay, you can connect it to shared knowledge as well, and then you can explore, is the greatness of an artwork knowledge, belief, or opinion? But we would say that the idea that the Mona Lisa is the greatest painting of all time or is a great work, we would consider that knowledge because it's been held by a lot of people, and it's been held by a lot of people for a lot of time. Okay, one of the things I really, really like, and if you see my videos about the TOK exhibition, you know I like this as well, is talking about genres. So genres is a way of classifying knowledge. What we would ask though is knowledge, is this approach to classifying art, is it fragile? And two things which interestingly are both about African Americans making country music have really caused us to see I think the fragility of the idea of a genre. Is a person who sounds country but not talking about country stuff, is that country music? Similarly, there's a genre of film called space westerns. If a movie has Western themes but is set in space, what is it? So in all sorts of art, we can have things that are crashing the genres. Talk about one of those. Pick something that you really know a lot about. Okay, another thing that you might not have heard of, but you should, and you have experienced it, is the idea of the death of the author. And so what we mean by this is that the reader or the viewer or the listener is the one that creates the knowledge of the work, not the author. My response to a work of art is the response that matters. So is the knowledge that I create when I watch a film, when I hear a poem, is that knowledge fragile? I would say so. But then secondly, is the knowledge of the death of the author, this perspective that really we've only held for about 100, 150 years, is that perspective fragile? Is it even knowledge? We're going to get to Duchamp in just a second. Duchamp. So the idea that anything can be art, that all that matters is the expression. That's new, but we consider it knowledge. So we can talk about the death of the author. Is my knowledge in experiencing a piece of art fragile? And then is the knowledge of how we consume art, is that fragile as well? I really like that. Okay, so now the most overused example in the arts is Duchamp's fountain. And that's, if you haven't seen it, it's the toilet that everybody likes to talk about. Oh, it changed art. It shows that everything can be art. Yeah, everybody says that. You're not unique when you write that. But what you can talk about is the scandal. So he was in a group that was supposed to be judging the quality of art, and then they rejected his own art, and he rejected them. It's this really great example. So if you want to talk about Fountain, read this whole article. I linked it in the PDF here that you've already downloaded, and learn about the whole situation, because what you have here and in the next example is you have groups of people who are the knowledge authorities saying this is art, this is not art, or this is bad, this is good, this is acceptable, this is not acceptable. So those people are saying this is knowledge. We create the knowledge of what art is. Is that fragile or not? I would say with both of these, for how it turned out, that knowledge is definitely fragile. Okay, I love Billy Collins. He's a poet that is very easy to understand. I'm not a big poetry guy. So he writes that no matter what we do, whenever we consume a piece of art, we make a judgment on its quality. And so he's saying we can't not do that. So if we are making a statement of fact, if we are saying, I have knowledge that this is bad because of the knowledge it created in me, is that fragile knowledge or not? This is a poem that he's written, and is an excerpt from the book that he's written as well. Okay, my last one here, I really like this. Think about proper techniques for any art form. So there is a way to play the piano. Playing upside down with your pinkies would be considered not the way to play piano. When you're taking photography, there is something called the rule of thirds. And we break it a lot, but there's all of these proper ways to engage in something. We don't paint trees with the back of a paintbrush. We just don't do that. So those would all be considered the rules, the revered knowledge, because everybody follows them. So is the knowledge of a proper way of doing something fragile or not? I think this will be different in every art form, in every discipline. So just think about that. And then why is it considered such a strong rule? So there are so many directions that you can take with this. Just make sure when you do, we're talking about knowledge of the greatness, knowledge of a technique, knowledge of the rules, not this is a painting, this is a song. That's not what top scores in TOK are gonna do. Okay, I rarely talk about maths in the TOK essay. It's just not something that applies a lot. And also, I don't like maths and I don't have a lot of great examples on maths. With this one, I really do. And I talked about this in my outline video, but all maths is based on assumptions, not facts. Assumptions called axioms. They cannot be proven true. And these two articles here will show you what that means, but they are fundamental guidelines for the AOK. So if we have our entire area of knowledge grounded in assumptions that we can't prove, is that fragile or not? I might say they're not fragile because everything works because of these assumptions. But that's a really cool idea to focus on. Okay, can anything be proven in math? Certainty in math is traditionally done through social means. Think about the really, really complex problems that people get like $1 million to prove. They are proven correct when other people agree. Not because it works, but because other people say, hey, I have proven that it works. So does that mean that we can ever be certain if people are the ones judging the people? But what about AI? Well, I'm glad you asked. We've got this example of, does AI prove things or does it just confirm what we already know? We can also talk about what is the role of AI in doing things that the global community of mathematicians cannot. So if people can't do something and AI can, how do we prove that it's correct? Are we just having faith in AI? A couple of other examples here. And then one of my favorite things, this is my go-to video when I'm trying to just scare the hell out of my TOK students. Do numbers exist? There are assumptions about numbers that they exist in the first place. Is that fragile or not? I don't think it's fragile just because of the idea that I brought up with the axioms, that their fragility is proven, their sturdiness is proven by the fact that it works, okay? That's just, its usefulness is proves it true. Okay, going to the natural sciences, something, I also got human science. I do a lot here on this video. This is gonna be a long one. Could you like my video? I don't know if it matters, but like my video, that'd be cool. Okay, nearly everything in science nearly everything once believed to be true has been proven wrong in the natural sciences. So what is something that you can choose that will stand out? So what I said you don't choose is you don't choose flat earth, you don't choose the heliocentric model, you don't choose that because everybody knows that, everybody's putting it in their paper. But look at some scientific things that people once all agreed on that now we know because of technology, we know it just wasn't true at all. Science is filled with examples of fragile knowledge. Okay, so why, if that's true, if we've proven so many things wrong, why can't our current revered knowledge be proven wrong? So what is different now than at any point in history? Honestly, it's not. So the stuff we believe right now will eventually be proven wrong by scientists in 1,000, 5,000 years. So think about the theory of relativity, theory of evolution. Just pick any theory that is commonly believed now. Is that fragile or not? This is the idea of where we're poking holes in what we currently believe. So you could be thinking about not just our revered knowledge, but the knowledge that comes from technology. So when we think about the James Webb Telescope, which is giving us brand new things that we would revere because it's the most cutting edge technology, how could that be fragile or not? The Large Hadron Collider, I don't know if I said that right, but that's what proved the Higgs boson theory. It's revered because of the groundbreaking tech and the huge really important things that it proves. Is that fragile or not, and why? And I think that you could bring up things that talk about the relationship between fragile knowledge and technology. Okay, and then finally, what are the things that we can be certain about at all? Round, flat Earth, remember, don't use this one. Think about the periodic table. The construction of that has some great stories that could go with that, but if we're thinking about how certain elements are created, the construction, what they're made of, that can't be fragile, right? So when we go back to the title, man, so many notes, you guys are so lucky. Are we assuming that the periodic table, this thing that everybody agrees on, is that fragile? Is it more fragile than we assume to be? I don't think it's fragile at all. So maybe I'm just making an assumption. I don't know. That's what you're going to have to get to. DNA. Ooh, don't move my picture. DNA, biological, just any biological claim. So things that everybody agrees on. We say, oh, that's definitely true. So are we making an assumption or not? And then what differentiates those? Okay, finally, human sciences. I got a couple of different disciplines here, including philosophy, which is really not talked about that much because people think TOK is philosophy, but it's not. Rational choice theory. So people believe in economics that everybody acts rationally. That contrasted with behavioral economics. So what made this move on? Is rational choice theory obsolete? Or is it just not the main way of explaining things anymore? So, and then when we now think that we understand how people behave, knowing that we were wrong in the past, just like natural sciences, is this a fragile theory or not? The unconscious mind. So many psychologists now believe that Freud was not right about everything. They would all agree that our unconscious mind guides us for so many different things, right? So that is extremely revered. Millions of people make their entire livings on that. So are we assuming that the knowledge of the unconscious mind is more fragile? I'm sorry, are we assuming that it's really, really strong? Or are there some holes that we can poke there? Behavioral operant conditioning, learn about what that is. You probably learned about that if you take psychology. So why do people do what they do? This theory claims to explain people's behavior and choices and is revealed for its simplicity and applicability. Is it fragile or not? So much of our human sciences is based on the idea of conditioning, and it's true with humans and with animals. It's revered. So are we assuming that it's always true? Is it fragile? I was trying to get into some philosophy, like I said earlier, so I was just trying to come up with some stuff. Nobody believes this anymore, but for thousands of years, they believe that we are born as a blank slate and that our experiences are what shapes us. We just know now from biology and psychology that's just not true. So they would have said that that was their revered knowledge, that the man, we have our destiny. I don't really buy into that. So that is something that we can look for fragile knowledge in the past. And then finally, something that I'm very interested in because it talks about philosophy and religion is the idea of free will. I think we would all, no, not we all, but many people would claim we have free will. But do we? That's knowledge that we all say we have. I have the knowledge to do things. But what if we don't? So look at these two different perspectives here and try to figure out if we assume it's strong, but it's not. Okay, so if you need more help, I've got my things here. Click here to send me your essay. I would love to help you out. After you purchase a revision package, by the way, we can keep on chatting. I'll be there for you. So yeah, I hope that TOK sucks less now than it did at the beginning of this video. I'll see you next time.